This is a video I didn't expect to make. There was a bit of news earlier this month where it was revealed that the CEOs of both Warner Bros. Discovery and Paramount Global have discussed a potential merger. This came out shortly after a news report of Skydance Media wanting to take over Paramount. This news also came out after Paramount was revealed to be in the bidding for the movie Coyote vs. Acme, a Looney Tunes movie that Warner Bros. Bafflingly doesn't want to release themselves. I wanted to make a short video on the possibility as well as go into running themes with mergers in general. Disney's acquisition of 20th Century Fox will be brought up in this too, in case you were wondering. By the way, I hope you guys like my new avatar. I started using it in my Garfield movie video, which isn't out at the time that I am recording this, but I decided to introduce it early in this quick video. So anyway, let's start with this. First off, there would be tons of redundancies with a deal like this, meaning that there are properties owned by both companies with a similar function that would naturally lead to a lot of layoffs because the combined company would prefer to streamline everything to save as much money as possible. Let's look at examples from this hypothetical Warner Bros. Paramount company. I guess you could call it Warnermount if you want to. WB owns HBO, a premium movie channel, while Paramount owns Showtime, another premium movie channel. WB owns Cartoon Network, a channel targeted towards kids and families, while Paramount owns Nickelodeon for that. Sure, they have distinct brand identities since Cartoon Network focuses on more story-driven shows that appeal to teens and adults, while Nickelodeon focuses on more zany shows that are targeted for a younger demographic as well as having live-action programs. But still, would Warner Bros. Paramount want two separate studios creating animated shows when they can just have one building producing them for both networks? We've already had a merger of Warner Bros. Animation and Cartoon Network Studios, so they would likely do it again but add Nickelodeon Animation. Maybe they have one animation studio for all animation done by Paramount and Warner, which would shrink the options for artists wanting to work in an animation studio. This can also be said for the main film studios,
Paramount Pictures and Warner Brothers.
Do you think they would be able to maintain two big studio lots in Los Angeles and Burbank respectively when they would want to link things together as closely as possible? What they could technically do is sell assets off or shut them down, but again, that would limit options on what consumers can watch, which brings us to the next point. Another big problem with a merger like this is that less entertainment would be produced. Disney and Fox's merger is a great example of this because 20th Century Fox went from releasing more than 10 movies in theaters to releasing about 3, with a few other movies by Searchlight Pictures. As a logo enthusiast, I am beyond annoyed that I can't hear the catchy 20th Century logo theme. You know, the bum ba da da bum ba bum ba ba bum ba da bum 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 ba da dum. Yeah, I can't listen to that in the theater anymore as much as I like. So anyway, in 2023, Paramount and Warner Bros. Released a combined total of around 25 films in theaters. A merged company would be half that amount. Not only that, but you know that the theatrical slate for this combined company would mostly be focused on big franchises ranging from stuff like Harry Potter to Transformers to DC Comics to Star Trek. This would leave incredibly little room for new original movies on the big screen, which both studios are already not doing enough of. As I said in my Paramount video earlier in 2023, I don't necessarily think franchise films are automatically bad as long as they are solid and well-made movies, but still, we need to have some original movies in theaters that can be successful and advance our entertainment culture. This would also be dangerous for movie theaters because there would only be 4 major film studios making big movies. This could allow smaller studios like Lionsgate and A24 to step up and help theaters by supplying more films, but will those movies do well enough for the mini majors to eventually be with the bigger majors? I honestly don't know about that. This is more of a personal observation of mine rather than being based on facts, but another issue with this merger is how they will handle releasing a project under a specific brand. Disney acquiring Fox was more understandable because Disney is a mostly family-friendly company and they saw 20th Century Fox as being useful for releasing anything that wouldn't belong under Disney's brand, because apparently Touchstone Pictures is dead to them. With Paramount and Warner Bros., both make movies and shows for all types of audiences, from kids and families to adults. There isn't really a clear distinction between these two brands. It would just be a matter of whether someone would pitch a project to Paramount first or to Warner Bros. First. But would that person be able to pitch that project to one after getting rejected by the other? Or would they just have to take the project to another company if either Paramount or WB rejected it? This would go for TV stuff as well. Most flamingly Cartoon Network and Nickelodeon for kid-friendly shows, and Adult Swim and Comedy Central for adult animated shows. And finally, we get to the super obvious effect of mergers like this. which is a monopoly. If we look at the 2023 domestic box office from all the major studios, you'd see Disney as a top studio with $1.887 billion, showing how despite the company having an embarrassing 100th anniversary, they still grossed more money in a single year than the other studios, and they got stronger thanks to Fox, which produced the mega hit Avatar sequel that continued to make money during 2023. Warner Brothers grossed $1.25 billion, mostly thanks to Barbie, while Paramount grossed $840 million. Had the merger happened during 2023, the combined company would have grossed $2 billion, which would put it above Disney's domestic box office. This would make Sony Pictures look even more like a mini major on the level of Lionsgate. In terms of television stuff, the channels of Paramount and Warner Brothers Discovery combined would give them a monopoly over cable. They would have a 40% share of the market, to be specific. I know cable is declining nowadays, but this would still be giving one company too much power in the TV market unless they once again shut down or sell off some unwanted channels. This is like how Crunchyroll got a lot of power over anime distribution after the merger with Funimation. In conclusion, this particular merger would have really bad effects on the Hollywood industry. The only good things from this would be potential crossovers and maybe a bigger streaming service that can actually take on Netflix. But those are very small pros compared to how humongous the cons would be, especially because we've already had a crossover between a Paramount property and a Warner Brothers property without the need for a merger. This seems more like a desperate attempt to save both Paramount and Warner Brothers, considering that these two companies are in a lot of debt, with Paramount's being $15 billion and Warner's being over $40 billion. A merger between them would just create more debt that the company wouldn't be able to pay back, forcing it to be bought by a large tech giant. I will admit that I don't want to see either of these companies go extinct, as both of them have a rich history of classic films and shows that have really stood the test of time, and both studios have released recent movies this year that I really like. If they do get it inevitably bought out, I do hope it isn't a merger with another giant film studio like Comcast's Universal, but rather anyone who can respect their legacies and give them the resources needed to grow for years to come. The number of major film companies is at risk of getting smaller, which is why we need more film studios now than ever. Remember how Steven Spielberg founded DreamWorks Pictures back in the 90s before it got taken over by Paramount in 2005? Yeah, I'd like to see more filmmakers doing something like that. So to wrap this video up, I just want to state for the record that there is a chance that this merger won't happen, considering that even investors apparently don't see this as a good idea. Plus, David Zaslav, the CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery, says he isn't in deal mode, so maybe I'm being dramatic and this video will age poorly, which unlike this video, is a good thing. Wait a minute, The Simpsons made this prediction in an episode. Oh no! Also, please let Coyote vs. Acme come out. This movie looks so good. Please don't let this go to waste.